Yo, what's up, guys? It is me, that one human boy, and welcome back to another video. And today we are gonna be reacting to 12 true horror stories. Um,
A family vacation in a Verbo means leaving all the craziness behind. Well, maybe not all
yeah,
of it.
screw the
Crazy
ads.
feels good when it has room to spread out in a Verbo with a pool on the beach. It just feels like vacation. Book to
Alright, let's start. Horror Shorts Part 12 Disturbing True Horror Stories. The Omegle Chat Room.
This story happened to me a couple years ago. It happened on a Saturday night. I was typing out a school report for my English class and was pretty worn out from the tedious amount of thinking that transpired throughout the paper. I decided to take a break and procrastinate a little bit, maybe watch a couple of YouTube videos. I needed to take some stress off my mind, but didn't really have anyone to vent or talk to. This gave me the idea to visit a chat room called Omegle. For those of you who don't know what Omegle is, it's a chat room where you can literally video chat with random strangers online through your computer webcam. Needless to say, Omegle definitely helped with my social skills growing up as a child, so I was always active on it. I remember this one particular night. I was having trouble meeting new people. This left me a little frustrated, to say the least, but that's the kind of thing to expect when you're on these kind of chat sites.
Okay, 1 second. One, why is this thing even existed? Because literally, if you're like a kid like me, kids are like vulnerable to the internet. But I'm a smart kid. Kids are vulnerable to the internet, and if adults on Omegle just ask them, just bribe them, say, "I'll buy you all the pizza you want if you give me your address," and then he tells you the address. Then he's gonna come over to your house and murder your face, and then in heaven, you're gonna be like, I still didn't get my pizza. But here's the thing, never go on sites like Omegle and stuff like that. Try like Discord and stuff, but not Omegle, because they will, if you are a kid, never go on Omegle, because they will trick you into giving you the address and then coming to your house to do bad things to you. So never, if you are under my age, I am 9 years old. If you even are my age, you have to be like 13 to use that. Never go on Omega if you're a kid, because you will get tricked for your address and they will come and kill you.
That's when I stumbled upon this one guy. He looked to be around the same age group as myself and seemed like a pretty harmless individual.
Ugly.
I decided to
That's
say
what I
hi.
say.
He didn't say anything back, he just typed the word hi in the chat box. I found it kind of weird that he would go through the effort of typing out hi as opposed to just saying hi verbally. He then waved at me and began typing something else. He introduced himself in the chat box saying, "My name is Daniel, what's your name?" I verbally said, "My name is James, how are you?" He then stares at the camera and doesn't say a word to me, completely dismissing the fact that I just asked him a question. At this point, I was convinced that this had to be some sort of pre-recorded video and that someone was just trolling me. That's when he began typing in the chat box again, saying, "I'm deaf, please type in the chat box unless you know sign language." I honestly felt stupid and immediately typed, "No worries, my name is James," and gave a quick thumbs up as an act of kind gesture. He immediately typed back saying, "Nice to meet you, James," and gave me a thumbs up as well. He then typed something else that left me dumbfounded. He said, "I will use my whiteboard to chat with you going forward because my hands will be occupied." I was confused by what he meant by that, so I typed, "What do you mean by your hands being occupied?" He then starts writing on a whiteboard and raises it up on the screen, which read, "Want to play a game?" I typed, "Sure, what game you want to play?" What he did next is something I will never forget to this day. He held a revolver up with one hand.
I think I know what this game is. 'Cause I've seen it on YouTube before and TikTok. I think this is called. It's something Russian. Russian. I don't know. It's but something with
And
Russian.
the whiteboard up with the other hand saying, "Let's play Russian roulette."
Yeah,
I
it's
was
called Russian roulette.
honestly quite creeped out by this guy and was contemplating on clicking the stop option to skip this weirdo. That's when he wrote another message on the whiteboard saying, 1 of 6.
One of his
I was
bullets.
confused by what 1 of 6 meant. He then took the revolver, slipped one bullet inside the cylinder, and began spinning it with his other hand. I now knew what he meant by 1 of 6. It seemed like the guy was about to demonstrate an act of
Suicide.
Russian roulette with one bullet in the cylinder of 6. He then puts the revolver against his head. I began typing. "What are you doing? Please stop this." The guy then smiles disturbingly on the camera and pulls the trigger. Nothing happened. He starts laughing hysterically like a psycho. I was honestly
You
disturbed,
got
but
trolled.
also skeptical that the gun was
such a
real,
troll.
so I
That's
typed,
the old
"Is
book
that
in the
even
book."
real?" He then points the revolver at the wall and begins to repeatedly press the trigger until the shot was fired. I was completely blown away by what I was seeing and typed, "Dude, you could have died!" That's when the guy raised the whiteboard to the screen again, showing the message, 5 of 6. I frantically started typing, "Don't do it," repeatedly in the chat box, desperately trying to get his attention. He then began loading the revolver with 5 bullets while I gestured no by waving my hands back and forth like a lunatic. I knew the odds of him surviving this time were slim to none. He then raises the revolver against his...
Yo. Yeah, he was right. The odds are super slim. 5 of 6. There is only a 1% chance he will not survive. 1% chance that he will not survive. 1%.
his head once again and begins to disturbingly smile, with tears running down his face.
Oh.
He began mumbling the words, "It was nice meeting you, James." I immediately slam my laptop shut as I hear a gunshot a split second before the laptop was fully closed. I was left baffled on my computer desk. I hadn't a clue what to do. I stupidly opened my laptop up with my eyes closed. I pressed
I thought that was a fake gun. He literally committed suicide while on Omegle. This person must have been horrified. Camera. Oh my goodness. That was brutal.
before the laptop was fully closed. I was left baffled on my computer desk. I hadn't a clue what to do. I stupidly opened my laptop up with my eyes closed. I pressed my hand against the screen.
My childhood was ruined. Yo. Yo. That was so brutal. That chat was the brutalest of brutalness. Dang. That was so brutal. That was so brutal.
video chat was located, with my eyes
Yo.
closed. I hadn't a clue what to do.
Yo.
I stupidly opened my laptop
Look at him.
up with my eyes closed. I pressed
Eyes were on the back of his head, blood everywhere, half of his skull. Revolvers are strong.
my hand against the screen where the video chat was located. I opened my eyes, and through the cracks of my fingers, I can see blood displayed everywhere on his screen. I immediately clicked the exit button on the Google Chrome tab and call it a night. To this day, I'm still skeptical about what I saw that night. I haven't reported anything to the police, nor have I reported anything to Omegle. I'm not sure if that was the wisest decision, but I hope I never encounter anyone like that again.
There's tears there. Horror shorts for the Deep Web series to Terrence Nicholson. You can see his skull, he's crying. Eyes in the back of his head. Brain. Yo.
Woo! Adapted mind math! Come explore the site with me. I'm in first grade. So
Yo. That was so brutal. Oh my goodness. That was so brutal. Horror story, true devil story, horror story. Narrated by Nightmare Films. Fireworks.
It was New Year's Day in 1995. I was in the middle of my junior year at my college, and a bunch of my friends had come down to visit me and my roommate for the festivities. We were all pretty hungover from drinking the night before, and we went out for the usual post-greasy breakfast hangover stroll around the neighborhood. Two of these friends were twin brothers. One of them we hung out with all the time. The other we just met for the first time. It was pretty normal the night before, joining in on the fun, but on this day, we were all hanging out around the local basketball court, shooting hoops with an old basketball we found in the grass. And this twin brother kept following me around all over the place with the creepiest grin I've ever seen. This day, we hung out with the neighborhood. Two of these friends were twin brothers. One of them we hung out with all the time. The other we just met for the first time. We were all hanging out around the local basketball court, shooting hoops with an old basketball we found in the grass. And this twin brother kept following me around all over the place with the creepiest grin I've ever seen in my life. Staring right into the neither regions of my soul the whole time. So I'd back away and then I'd join the group again. And he kept following me around. When we were walking back to the apartment, it was just me and him walking down the sidewalk behind the group, and he moved in front of me. He stared at me with that creepy look again and fell down to his knees as if he was to worship me or something. I didn't know what to do or say, so I said, "Hey buddy, you all right? We're heading back now, right?" And so on. He wouldn't say anything. He'd just be there on his knees, looking up at me with this clenched face and squinted eyes as if we were looking directly into the sun or something. Later that day, my roommate said he was tripping, so I thought nothing of it and moved on with my life. A few weeks later, we got a phone call from the twin brother that we usually hung out with, and it turned out that his other twin brother went over to his aunt's house with a knife and stabbed her 14 times. She didn't die to his aunt's house with. And it turned out that his other twin brother went over to his aunt's house with a knife and stabbed her 14 times. She didn't die, but still pretty bad. He had even called the police before going, because he knew he was going to do it, but he couldn't stop himself from doing it, because the voices and so on. The court case was covered in the media, as this was a small community where this sort of thing doesn't happen every day. I was reading one of the articles, and one of the testimonies was that this twin brother was severely schizophrenic and was hearing voices in his head. He believed to his very bones that his aunt was the devil, and that he had been commanded by God to go kill her. So who was this God that told him to go kill her? Well, as the newspaper article described, it was this guy in a group he hung out with on New Year's Day. It didn't take me long to realize that he was talking about me. This was over 20 years ago. I know for a fact that it was a mental illness, but just knowing that I somehow commanded him to go kill his aunt just stays with me to this day.
Time out. Time out. One. How did he command the long-haired twin to go up to his aunt's house and stab her 14 times? Second of all, why did he listen to him? And why didn't he just go like in his brain, yo, get out of my head, get out of my head, I don't want you no more. Dang. Third of all, the living true God is in heaven, chat. The living true God is in heaven, chat. Alright? That's about 3 reasons why this video is super crappy. The true Aslan horror story.
This happened to me about a year ago. I used to be a janitor for a cleaning agency. I would basically take contract jobs to clean in various locations. One day, my cleaning agency gave me a cleaning contract at a psychiatric ward, also known as an asylum. To be honest, I was a bit hesitant to take the job, just because of the superstition of asylums being haunted, but I took it anyway because the pay was decent. Later that day, I arrived there. I see a huge old-looking building. To be honest, I was quite creeped out since the asylum was secluded in the middle of nowhere. When I arrive inside, I notice people giving me an uninviting stare. I'm not just talking about the patients, I'm also talking about the employees as well. To be honest, I kept it professional and began to do my job. I remember mopping the hallway and seeing some really bizarre things. I saw some creepy looking patients that had a disturbing look to them. I don't know, they just looked like the kind of people you would see in one of those Exorcist movies. I remember seeing this one guy that really gave me the chills. It was a man who looked to be about 7 feet tall. He gave me this really disturbing smile like he wanted to kill me. I can see a nurse instructing him to lay on his bed. He didn't look too happy after that. I also remember seeing a swimming class taking place. Well, not exactly a swimming class, just a bunch of patients in a swimming pool. They were all holding an exercise ball and mimicking the actions of the instructor. I personally found it unsettling, to say the least. When it was around the end of my shift, I was getting ready to head home. I noticed all the patients' doors were closed, except for one room. I could see someone laying on the floor with their legs halfway across the door. It was a bit alarming for one to be laying on the floor like that. I then saw the person getting yanked into the room. That honestly startled the crap out of me. I then noticed a puddle of blood spilling out from the room and onto the hallway. I decided to approach the room and see what the hell was going on. As I peeked inside the room, I saw one of the most disturbing things ever. It was the tall man I saw earlier. He was biting the hell out of one of the nurse's neck. You can see the nurse's eyes gouged out with blood pouring everywhere. I carefully made sure to not scream or make a sound.
Yo.
You can see the nurse's eyes gouged out.
You were like,
One of the nurses, a tall man I saw one of the most disturbing things ever. It was the tall man I saw earlier. He was biting the hell out of one of the nurse's neck. You can see the nurse's eyes gouged out with blood pouring everywhere. I carefully made sure to not scream or make a sound. I got the hell out of there and immediately started driving off. I even called the cops while driving. To this day, I'm still traumatized by what I saw that night. I'm not sure exactly what happened to the tall man, but he still gives me the chills just thinking about him.
Experience the 2020 all-wheel drive Mazda CX-5.
true high school horror story.
This is a story about a girl in my high school. I go to high school just like any normal person would, but I was having a little trouble with my grades. So I started staying after school to do a little extra work to bring my grades up. But I've noticed in school that there has been this quiet girl that attended tutoring along with 8 other people. The thing is, I would always see her staring at me, never taking her eyes off of me. I really didn't mind it, but it felt really creepy. This kept going on for about 2 weeks. At this point, I was feeling very uncomfortable. One day when school ended and tutoring started, I sit as far away as possible from her. We go home at around 6 p.m. And this day I got on the bus like usual. There was only one bus because there aren't so many people. And as usual, I would sit as far away as possible from her. But that day, when I got off my bus stop, she got off too. This was weird as she always got off at a different bus stop, but I really didn't pay any attention to it. I thought maybe she changed her bus stop or something, I don't know.
You are a teenager. Everybody should know this. It's called stalking.
I really didn't think about it.
Either she
It
moved or
was
she's
getting dark,
stalking you,
and it was about a 1 mile walk from
and
my
she
bus stop to my home.
likes you.
But I noticed that the girl has been following me for about 2 minutes, and I didn't know why. This, of course, bothered me, but there wasn't really much I could do. I just ignored her, minding my own business, and I kept walking. 2 minutes later, I noticed that she kept following me. I started to get the feeling that maybe she was lost or something. It was dark, and then she started talking to herself. She was acting really weird, and I just wanted to ignore it, but she kept whispering to herself. I could hear mumbling. The sound was getting closer and closer, so I picked up the pace. When I picked up the pace, she also did too. She then let out a scream that was so damn loud that it almost made me pee my pants. I started.
Oh man, he beat his pants. Wow.
Then let out a scream that was so damn loud that it almost made me pee my pants. She then let out a scream that was so damn after me, almost made me pee my pants. I started sprinting. She went chasing after me. I was getting scared, so I ran around the neighborhood. I didn't want her to go to my house because she would know where I live. Around the corner, I saw a bush large enough for me to hide in. Then she stopped as she thought that she lost me. When she stopped, she took a deep breath and she ran away. I stayed there for about 5 more minutes just to make sure. I was thinking to myself that this girl was insane and had some mental problems. After this horrifying experience, I didn't go to after-school tutoring again.
true Airbnb story. An Airbnb.
This happened to me on a trip to Lyon, France. I was travelling solo from the States and had booked a stay with this old couple in their house.
Yeah, it's a little bit him when people call in the United States, just call it the States.
I say old. They must have been in their mid-60s. It was a new listing and only had a couple of reviews, but they were both really positive. From the photos, I could tell that this place wasn't exactly a 5-star joint, but for the price, it was a steal and in a great location to boot. That first night when I arrived, the older couple actually made dinner for me. It was a nice touch, and who was I to refuse? Their English was decent, so we chatted and shared a few stories, and afterwards I went to explore the city and get a few drinks. I must have returned around 10 PM, and my hosts were nowhere to be seen. In bed asleep, I figured. The pair had told me at dinner to help myself to a little wine, which is precisely what I did when I got in. Nice folks. Afterwards, I went up to my bedroom to settle down myself. Now, I usually have trouble sleeping, but that night I fell asleep with surprising ease. All the travelling that day had worn me out, and that little bit of wine probably helped too, I guess. I'm not sure what time it was, but I awoke in the night to a flash of lightning. You know when your eyes are closed, but you can still tell there was a flash of bright light? Well, it was just like that. I remained curled up in bed with my eyes still shut, waiting for the crash of thunder to come with it. I counted the passing seconds in my head. My mum always used to tell me that however many seconds there were between the lightning and thunder, that was how many miles away it had struck. So I'm there, counting away in my head. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20, 30. That's odd, I thought. No thunder. It was then, through closed eyelids, that I sensed another lightning flash. Again, I waited for the thunder, but it never came. I sat up in bed and opened my eyes, just to see if my sleep-hazed mind was playing tricks on me. It hadn't been. Inside my bedroom were my two hosts. Initially, I didn't realize just how bizarre this situation was. I was still in that confused, just out of sleep state. Even still, I knew there was something off about their expressions. As my eyes adjusted, I could tell what was wrong. They were both wearing masks, latex masks of old human faces. They were both. My eyes adjusted. There was something off about their expressions.
Yo.
As my eyes adjusted, I could tell what was wrong. They were both wearing masks, latex masks of old human faces with exaggerated features. The flashes had been from the camera the woman was holding. They had been taking pictures of me whilst I slept. The husband was nearer to the bed than the wife though, and he was in mid-step, moving closer. She was further back by the door. It was as if he wanted to be in the pictures. With me now awake, they both froze like a pair of mannequins. What do you want? At the time, I couldn't think of anything else to say. The adrenaline hadn't kicked in yet. I was more confused than freaked out. "You're dreaming," said the male, his voice muffled behind the latex mask. Then, backing up towards the door. "Good night." It wasn't until I noticed the metal wrench in the old man's hand that the situation fully dawned on me. I quickly gathered my shit and made for the front door. I quickly gathered my shit and tried to ambush me with the wrench from around a corner. Needless to say, I contacted the police immediately, though nothing ever came of it. My evidence was all anecdotal. The old geezers had been smart enough to delete all of the pictures. My complaints to Airbnb were largely ignored too. though the old couple did remove their listing from the site. I don't know what all of that was about. Some cult-like shit? A messed up fetish? Some fucking potential dots? And it was clear that he was trying to step towards me quietly, wrench in hand. Whatever the case, I'll never complain about being a light sleeper again. I still check Airbnb regularly, just to make sure they don't use it to lure anyone else in.
Look at you. No braces, all the internet you can handle. I wasn't so lucky.
Invis is not your parents' braces. Invis is predictable, less painful, more comfortable. Invisalign.
True amusement park horror story.
It was the beginning of summer. I decided to go to my local amusement park. My town opens the amusement park only during the summertime. I would usually spend, most of my summers indoors, watching YouTube, playing video games, basically living with my introverted tendencies. I was never the type to be outgoing, but decided to make friends at the fair this year, or at least attempt to. It was around the evening time, and I remember taking the bus alone. I finally arrived and remember seeing how high the rides were. Every time I look at a roller coaster or Ferris wheel, I always think of the movie Final Destination, where the freak accidents occur. I'm personally afraid of heights, so I would always avoid going on the tall rides. As the night went on, I played a few carnival games, but would always come out empty-handed. Maybe I just sucked at the monotonous fair games and was better off playing video games at home.
Yeah!
At least it's something I'm better at, but decided to test my luck. After all the unsuccessful attempts at winning my prizes, there was one game that caught my attention.
Yo, hold up. Give me a sec. Hold up. Oh, I thought it was nighttime already. It's just about to rain. It is about to rain. I thought it was nighttime. It's like 3 o'clock. So it's not.
It was an old dust.
It was just some rain. Oh, I thought it was like maybe nighttime already. Just some rain. I don't know what the forecast is yet. So we are not going to talk about that because I don't know. Oh crap, no. Yo, no, Nah, bro. No. Alright, there we go.
But decided to test my luck. After all the unsuccessful attempts at winning my prizes, there was one game that caught my attention. It was an old, dusty-looking machine isolated at the end of the park.
Yeah?
It looked like one of those fortune-teller machines that you would see in the arcades.
Yeah.
The game didn't draw much attention from the people at the fair, so I decided to check it out myself. It was called Psychic Clown. It had a creepy-looking clown inside. Sort of looked a bit too real for my liking, honestly.
Oh.
I also noticed the game cost $1 per try, so I put whatever spare change I had into the slot. I then pressed the go button, and the clown began talking. It said, "Ask me a yes or no question to uncover the truth, and then press the go button." So I asked the clown. It said, pressed the go button, put whatever spare change I had into the slot. I then pressed the go button, and the clown began talking. It said, "Ask me a yes or no question to uncover the truth, and then press the go button." So, I asked the clown, "Will I get a girlfriend by the end of the year?" I hit the go button, and the clown began moving. It started disturbingly laughing, and then eventually said the word, "No." I thought to myself, this can't be accurate. It's just a fair game. But the sad
He gonna be single for his whole life.
reality was that the clown was probably right. I decided to ask the clown more personal questions. This time. I dropped more change in the slot and asked him, "Are my parents divorced?" My parents have been divorced for 10 years now. I pressed go, and the clown began doing its disturbing laugh again, eventually saying the word, "Yes." At this point, I was really creeped out and contemplated if it was just a fluke, or if this psychic clown game was for real. I reached for more change and realized that I only had $2 left, which was supposed to be my bus fare. I planned on calling my mom to come pick me up, so I decided to use my last $2 on the psychic clown now. I put the first dollar in and was ready to ask it a question, but the game didn't work this time. I gave it a few light taps and the clown began to laugh again. But this time, it seemed like the clown was malfunctioning. It began laughing uncontrollably and started jerking its body back and forth just vigorously. The movements were so vigorous to the point where the clown started banging its head on the glass, causing it to crack. This was the point vigorously. The movements were so vigorous to the point where the clown started banging its head on the glass, causing it to crack. This caused me to have a fight or flight reaction while others laughed at me. I found the whole ordeal pretty disturbing to say the least. I assumed it was some sort of glitch, so I decided to use my last dollar on one more question. The last question I asked to the clown is, "Will my mom pick me up from the fair tonight?" Again, the clown begins to do its creepy laugh. And then it says the word, "No." The next part of this story is what sends chills down my spine. My mom calls me right after the clown says, "No." I pick up the phone and my mom asks me if I'm on my way home. I ask her if she can pick me up and she says, "Yes, I will." The call abruptly cuts off. I figured my phone had poor signal, so I didn't bother calling her back. I assumed that she was on her way to pick me up. At this point, I realized that the clown's revelation was wrong. My mom was on her way to pick me up. I head to the exit of the fair to wait for my mom to arrive. A few minutes then turned to an hour. I dial my mom's number again, and I try calling her back, but the call went straight to voicemail. I repeat this 10 more times as I leave her a text message saying, "Where are you?" But I didn't get a response. I then called my stepdad. He answers the phone and asks if I'm headed home. I tell him I've been trying to get a hold of my mom for the past 2 hours. I can hear sheer panic in my stepdad's voice as he tells me he will get my cousin to come pick me up instead. An hour later, my cousin finally arrives to pick me up. He had a look of distraught in his face, like he had just been through hell. I ask him if he knows where my mom is and why my stepdad didn't come for the ride. What he said next turned my stomach into a million knots. He tells me that he dropped my stepdad off at the hospital because my mom got into a car crash. I panicked and told my cousin to immediately drive to the hospital. Upon arrival, I find out from the doctors that my mom was pronounced dead from her injuries. It's been a year since my mom's passing, and I always contemplate whether I was the reason for her death, calling and texting her while she was driving. My other theory is it might have had something to do with that psychic clown. A part of me thinks that the psychic clown played a part in my mom's death, but I will never know for sure.
Nope, 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 nope. Okay, so I'm going to end the video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more, come and subscribe to me, and I will keep these scary stories up. Subscribe, hit that like button. Subscribe, hit that like button, and hit that notification button. And then in the comments, tell me what is the worst story you've ever seen.